Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up, one city in California has banned the word manhole. Now you're thinking to yourself, is the word manhole offensive? Manhole cover, right? I guess these days you better say that manhole cover. So, you know, the lid that makes sure you don't fall into the sewer, the manhole, right? Well, Berkeley, California has now banned the term manhole. And it will now be referred to as a maintenance hole. I'm not kidding. The term manhole will not be used. The Berkeley City Council has voted to approve eliminating gender-specific words from their municipal code. Enter the term maintenance hole. Yeah, maintenance hole. Now, for those of you that are of sound, rational mind and love America and have left the state of California and have come to Idaho as American political conservative refugees, you're shaking your head and going, that's why I left that cesspool, Kevin Miller. That's why I left that cesspool. Can you believe in America today we're having the talk that Berkeley, California has nothing better to do than eliminate the word manhole and replace it with maintenance hole because we don't want anything gender specific. Look at how you were raised, how I was raised with gender specific items. That really, we you turned out okay. I turned out okay. I'm worried about the people that will not have gender anything that, regardless of what your age, you can choose to be an X or the parents of people. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be offensive here on this one. Do we have the offensive bell? Have we lost the offensive bell? Okay. Full disclosure, I'm going to be offensive here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And just simply say, what is wrong with parents that all of a sudden are choosing to, they're putting an X on your birth certificate? Well, we're going to allow you to choose your gender. No, you know who chooses your gender? God. You either have an appendage or you don't. And today, if you don't like how God created you, then you can change that. But really, at birth, are we going to do this? At birth, are we going to sit there and say to ourselves, well, quite frankly, it's okay. You can be an X. Even in the state of Idaho, because we're afraid to be sued, we have allowed gender to be optional. You are an X. That's great if you're a mutant with the X-Men. Not so great if you're looking for standards, values, and morals. Speaking of which, before his big rally yesterday, the president of the United States was asked a few questions. Let's take a listen.
Winning the political fight. I think I'm winning it by a lot. I think that they are not espousing the views of our country, the four congresswomen. I think that they've said horrible things that the press doesn't cover. I think you should try covering it. When you look at some of the things they said, they're unthinkable. If somebody else or me or anybody else said things like that, it would be historic. So you ought to look at some of the horrible statements because there's never been statements like that.
How do you think that
Well, the Democratic Party is really going in a direction that nobody thought possible. They're going so far left, they're going to fall off a cliff. So I think they're making a big mistake, but who knows? That's up to them. Well, there's a lot of talk about the fact that she was married to her brother. I know nothing about it. I hear she was married to her brother. You're asking me a question about it. I don't know, but I'm sure that somebody would be looking at that.
There you have it, the questions concerning Representative Omar and whether or not she was married to her brother. We go to Steve in Boise with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
A lot of Steves this morning.
Well, I was just thinking about this squad and how they, if you really look at it, they're kind of a product of our education system here of late. How, for example, the new president of the BSU president's trying to push some sort of a plan to get, implement strategies that are more socialist there at the school. And fortunately for us here in Idaho, that some of the Republican representatives sent her a letter. I don't know if you saw that, but it was newsworthy here recently. And of course, the Democrats, they supported that left-leaning agenda that the president of BSU is trying to implement here coming up. And so just not a surprise that we've got this mess heading to the left, in my opinion.
Well, I think, and by the
they
way,
don't teach
can I
think they teach.
Okay, Steve, hang on for a minute. Let's have a conversation. Now, we haven't reached out to the new BSU president, President Trump, but you bring up a great point. And here you have 28 Republican lawmakers, 29, sent a letter saying, in the past, Boise State has had liberal exclusionary programs that hurt folks in Idaho. We want you to eliminate these. And in response, you had the 21, I guess there were only 21 elected Democrats in the state. They sent a letter saying, welcome to Idaho, President Trump. We think you're doing a great job. And then you have the president of BSU apparently touring the state, talking to legislators in their districts, according to her Twitter feed. But back to Steve's point, what's her response to lawmakers? And maybe that will be the next cultural war, and it should be. It's long overdue, the battle over what is and what isn't taught at Boise State. Steve.
Yeah. Well, that just, you need to get right down to teaching people how to think, not teaching an agenda.
Good point.
It's that's just totally wrong. We end up getting ourselves in a big mess. Kids they don't know. They're young and they're malleable and so forth, and they trust their educators, steer them the right way, and they're not teaching them how to think. So anyhow, that's my comment, and I hope something changes.
Well, it starts with us. Steve, thank you for the call. And before we get back to the president and the Congress people, this is a fascinating issue, and I want to thank our friend Hank, who has brought this up at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Hank brought this up about the battle for Boise State, and really what is going on is you have people that are sick and tired of the liberal agenda, how they see it at Boise State. This is what they tell us. And so you had so many lawmakers, Idaho lawmakers, write a letter to the new president that's making over $450,000, $470,000 a year. Now, the governor of the state only makes what? Only. Still in six figures. What, 120, something like that? I think the governor of the state makes 120, but then you put in the $4,000 a month housing allowance. That boots it up quite a bit. The mayor of Boise, he makes $140,000. So apparently being the president of Boise State University is much more important than being the governor of Idaho fiscally and the mayor of Boise fiscally. At least if you're going by paychecks. You remember the old days, well, show me your paycheck and I'll show you how important you are. That would seem to be the message that is being sent. And then you have the new president coming to town who nobody knows what's going on. She did come from a liberal California university. That's documented. And I would think, and in fairness to her, maybe she hasn't responded. And look, President Trump and the libs, they don't listen to the station. They try to marginalize our message. They have their own radio station. It's paid for by the taxpayers. It always amazes me when people talk about public radio. It's paid for by the taxpayers, and yet they still beg for your money, and they still run commercials for your money. And the arrogance of public broadcasters, of NPR, the NPR crowd. Well, I've got this and that. We've got Ray and Maya, and we've got Jared today. And we depend on the free market. But they like the stuffy crowd. They like the liberal agenda. They like the propaganda. But you have President Trump, who I believe, at least publicly, to the best of my knowledge, hasn't responded to 28 Idaho lawmakers. And then you have Republicans. And then, God bless them for doing this. And then you have 21 libs, 21 Democrats say, we think you're doing a great job. And now you're going to have a rally Saturday, which, let's face it, there'll be the usual suspects, 30 libs, if you will. Young kids, little children's, saying, we want diversity, we want inclusion, we want our money to go to people that were coming into the country legally or illegally. Down with America. And you'll have the usual suspects, the television stations, that are so tired of covering Garth Brooks that will cover this and say, see, there were 12 protesters. Now, when the gun people go to the State House, Greg Pruitt, the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, there's thousands. It never gets covered or it gets marginalized. But look, that's something that I think is long overdue. If you don't like what is being taught at the University of Idaho, if you don't like what's being taught at Idaho State, Lewis and Clark, Boise State, or your particular state university, and you're a legislator, and look, in Idaho you can influence these people, then it's time for people to go up before it. The next time at, the State Board of Education, they're the ones that decide to stick it to the kids by paying university presidents over $400,000 a year and sticking it to the kids, to the students, raising tuition 3, 4, 7, 8%. And how do they justify that? Well, they justify it very simply by it's the escalating cost of doing business. Really? At least when the medical industrial complex sticks it to you, they give you a new building they're showing. When it's coming from higher education, that's just the way it is. For a degree compared to the trades might not give you the same return on investment. But I think that's something that should be dealt with. In fact, instead of the State Board of Education rubber stamping the tuition increases and the salary increases, it should be up to the state legislature. You know, I go back to this, though, this rally for, and look, the conservative lawmakers talked about some programs that do not reflect Idaho values. And again, you have the Democrats going, we're for you. And this big rally. How about we rally to end unacceptable tuition increases? How about we rally to end corporate waste? How about we rally to end degree programs that don't give you a return on your investment and stick students with the idea of being indentured servants for the rest of their lives? Why don't we look at real solutions? And these are nonpartisan issues. Again, my representation is you. And politicians in this state, I've learned most of them takers. Not givers, takers. So that's up to them to hold university presidents accountable. I think it's a good move. And I think it's long overdue. And personally, if I'm the president of Boise State, now Dr. Kustra, he had his own way of doing things, like him or not, and I know the wrestling program, they're still mad at him. But he had his way. He had time in saddle. This young lady doesn't. I don't think she can avoid. I don't think that she can afford to avoid these concerns by the legislature. They should bring her up before the Legislative Education Committee. Have her testify. What's wrong with that? What is the agenda? How do these reflect the people of Nampa, Caldwell, Ontario, Kuna? Isn't that the government we deserve? Or maybe you're down with the libs. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Also asked Congresswoman Ilhan Omar about her past comments suggesting some politicians' support for Israel is motivated by money. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle denounced those comments as anti-Semitic.
Oftentimes there are things that you might say might not hold weight for you, but to someone else, right? The way that we hear and consume information is very different than how the next person might.
So you don't regret your words either?
I do not, but I have gotten I am grateful for the opportunity to really learn how my words made people feel and have taken every single opportunity I've gotten to make sure that people understood that I apologize for it. And
would you
never,
like people to? Would
I
you,
never
would you
really
like to
want
make it
them
clear
to.
That you were not anti-Semitic?
Oh, certainly not. Yes.
Would you like to make that clear?
Yes. I mean, and that nothing I said, at least to me.
Right. She doesn't say anti-Semitic comments. It's we hear it wrong. That's a good one to use at home or at work. No, I didn't say that. You heard it wrong. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Hang on, your calls are next. First, traffic and weather together. Let's go to Doug in Mountain Home with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin. Good show. I just started listening, but you always got a good show.
Thank you.
What are they worried about when you're talking about student loans and everything? Bernie's going to fix it all. It's all free.
Crazy
right?
Bernie.
Yeah. It's all free. Democrats are going to help everybody out. Everything's free. Yeah, I don't know how you fix it, Kevin. I really don't. Maybe if you got government out of public schools, but you're talking about the legislators trying to fix it. You ever seen them fix anything? The only one I've seen fix anything is the guy we got in right now, and he's not a politician.
Well, you can say that for a fact, Doug. He's not a politician.
Yeah, the guy makes me just giggle. The way he makes everybody, them guys get they don't even know how to handle him. It's great. I just hope the rest of the country just steps up and votes. I mean, as far as the schools, the colleges, I mean, just look at Cortez. I mean, that's a wonderful education right there, ain't it?
I'd say.
Yeah, I don't know, Kevin, how you fix it. Where these professors are making that kind of money so they can teach our kids hatred and socialism against our country and our Constitution. That's what they're getting paid all this money for. And I'm not saying all of them, but the biggest majority of them, especially back east, are.
Well, it's a different world east of the Great River.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But it's whichever river you're going, east or west. I mean, you go towards California and Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington, it's the same thing.
Yeah, you're right.
It is. It's the same thing. I could go on. I got friends in Montana, here in Idaho, that raised their kids like me and you, and they went back east to college. When they came back, they didn't even know them, Kevin. Absolutely didn't know them.
Really?
No. And most of them turned around and went back into the professional, being professors, teaching at college, teaching the same thing. The same stuff. I heard the other day, I don't know how true it is, and I can't remember who I heard it from, but that guy that's the mayor and the chief of police of Portland came from a timber industry family and went to, I know where I heard it. I heard it from Lars Larson. And timber industry family, and he went back to Stanford University. And when he came back, this is what you see is happening. A tyrant. So, anyway, that's my perspective on it. I don't know how you fix it. You can't set wages on everybody. And if the schools and are going to pay them professors that kind of money, I don't know how you do away with it. I feel sorry for the kids. I really do. you know, like you just said on there, they're stuck with that bill for the rest of their life. I went to a hand doctor in Boise because I cut one of my end of my fingers off last December, and went to him, and nice guy, young guy, family, and we got to talking about where he went to college. And he went, I can't remember, some of it was at BSU, some of it, and he said he'll never be able to pay his loan off. He said it's like having a mortgage on a home. How's that for freaking school? So,
Doug, we appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie.
These are the same people who said abolish ICE, abolish the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, these are the radical positions they have taken. These are the same individuals who said that the detention facilities to deal with this influx of the amazing numbers we've seen on the border, they call these detention facilities concentration camps.
These congresswomen, their comments are helping to fuel the rise of a dangerous, militant hard left. But that's okay, because we're going to win this election like nobody's ever seen before. And tonight I have a suggestion for the hate-filled extremists who are constantly trying to tear our country down. They never have anything good to say. That's why I say, hey, if they don't like it, let them leave. Let them leave. Huh? Let them leave. But Cortez, somebody said that's not her name. They said that's not her name, sir. I said, no. I don't have time to go with 3 different names. We'll call her Cortez. Too much time. Takes too much time.
My goodness gracious. More of your calls next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, out to the White House. John Decker, Fox News Radio. Good morning, John.
Hey, Kevin. How's it going today?
What a wild day and a wild night it was yesterday with the House voting concerning impeachment and the president holding a rally in Greenville, North Carolina.
Yeah, a lot going on. You know, that rally in North Carolina was meant to initially sort of focus attention away from what was supposed to happen yesterday, which was Mr. Mueller's testimony before 2 House committees. That was postponed, as you know, to next week. It will take place on July the 24th in 2 House congressional committees. So this was essentially supposed to be counter-programming, but it certainly got a lot of attention. The president not backing away, as you know, Kevin, from the tweet that he put out on Sunday, the 14th, in regards to those 4 Democratic congresswomen.
The president seems to relish the criticism.
The president was asked that very question yesterday before departing for North Carolina on Marine One, taking Marine One out to Andrews and then flying on Air Force One down to North Carolina. He says he doesn't so much relish it, but he needs to push back against the narrative that is being portrayed by the Democratic Party in the House. And so that's what he's doing. I don't think he's going to sort of stop his criticism of these 4 Democratic progressives in the House. I think it's going to continue, and I think the president believes that he's winning this argument right now, not only certainly among his supporters, but among the American electorate as well.
John Decker joining us, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. Also, you've got the House debating criminal contempt citations for the Attorney General and the Commerce Secretary.
Well, that happened yesterday, and the reason being is because both the Commerce Secretary and the Attorney General did not comply with subpoenas to hand over documents that were requested by Congress, by the democratically led Congress, and as a result, a vote was taken to find each of these cabinet members in criminal contempt. What does that mean? It is now referred to the Justice Department. It's not going to go anywhere. Why is that? Because the Attorney General is not going to green light a prosecution against himself. The last time this happened was with the Attorney General under President Obama, Eric Holder. A criminal contempt citation was voted on, approved by Congress, and that took 7 years, Kevin, to resolve. And so this is similar type of situation as to what existed under the Obama administration.
John Decker, we appreciate it. To be continued as always. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Have a great day. Talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, John Decker. And just appreciate John Decker and the fine works at Fox News Radio. And you can only hear it here on KIDO Talk Radio.
But Cortez, somebody said that's not her name. They said, that's not her name, sir. I said, no. I don't have time to go with 3 different names. We'll call her Cortez. Too much time. Takes too much time.
Liberal Steve joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, America. And all those hate-filled extremists that are the Miller Show callers, except for Liberal Steve. The president must have talked about your callers. Send her back, send her back. A bunch of drunken Virginians. No wonder God is tearing the South apart with all its weather. God is retaliating against all those heathens down there that call themselves Christians, but yet say stuff like that. And Trump says stuff like that, just dividing this nation. And then Doug constantly complaining from Mountain Home, and then complains and says about 50 times, I don't know, Miller. I can't fix it. And why do you care? I don't even know the president's name of BSU. And why do you care what she makes? I don't care what you make. I'm sure you're well overpaid. Any monkey can sit down there and take calls all day long and put out rhetoric. But why do you care? And why do you run her down and beat her up and call her this and that? She's done nothing to you.
What name have I called her?
You've called her every name under the book backwards. I call it backwards calling.
I haven't called her. I haven't called her any name under the book. I've
backward calling.
I said with respect
calling.
to the new president, she's here. So
yeah. So what? And why do you compare her wage to anybody else?
I guess you can't. I guess you can't. You don't have any facts to back up your statement, but that's not unusual for you.
What facts do I need?
You said that I've attacked the president of Boise State University by calling her names, and I've asked you what names have I called her.
In a backhanded way.
Such as?
You can call names all day long in a
Such
backhanded
as?
way. Just like your John buddy from, what's the name of that town? It'll be so fun in 2020 when America just crushes Trump with a landslide no vote. And all your people and your kind will just shrivel into the bushes like they never existed. That's the way it's going to be, Kevin. Nothing else is going to. And what's with John from the town of I got a ton in the middle of it, telling me I can't quote any biblical writings? Huh? Just because what I've got to say about doctrines. That's none of his business. And he's close to that town. What's the name of that town? Rats? Oh, no, I said it backwards. It's Star. Star. Yeah, not Rats. And for you to keep playing that those idiot Virginians were saying over and over and over again about an American citizen that used her right to speak, and for him to talk about marrying her brother and all this other stuff, come on, he can't.
We don't know if she married her brother. That's a question that was posed to the president. Did she marry her brother?
Yeah, and he didn't. Why did they ask a question like that? It was just hateful and stupid and get other stuff going. And why can't the president of the United States marry an American woman? Why do you got to marry all these cow out of the country women? Send them back. Send them back.
Maybe he believes in diversity.
Well, no, he gets those women because they don't know how to speak up for themselves. They're not like American women. They kowtow into the corner and want to stay pregnant and in the kitchen. That's why he marries them. And they shut up about stuff he does because they come from that type of era. That's why he marries a Miller. They keep their mouth shut. Dead air, Kevin. It's your turn. Send her back! 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 Send her back!
Tlaib also used the F word to describe the presidency. And your president. That's not nice, even for me. She was describing the president of the United States and the presidency with the big, fat, vicious, the way she said it, vicious F word. That's not somebody that loves our country. When asked whether she supported Al-Qaeda, that's our enemy. That's our enemy. They are a very serious problem that we take care of, but they always seem to come along somewhere. She refused to answer. She didn't want to give an answer to that question. Omar blamed the United States for the crisis in Venezuela. I mean, think of that one. And she looks down with contempt on the hard-working Americans, saying that ignorance is pervasive in many parts of this country.
There we have it. Your call's next. Kevin Miller in the morning. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You might have, if you've been listening earlier, we were telling you about Berkeley in California, Berkeley, California, getting rid of the word manhole. It's going to be maintenance hole because we don't want a gender-specific, no more gender-specific terms. Bob writes in, Kevin Miller, Berkeley could go even farther and get rid of other negative male words like menstruation and menopause. Tea Party Bob joins us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. You just caught me while I was grabbing my cup of coffee. I'm beginning to wonder what planet Liberal Steve is from. I really think that the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot, or as the president said, they're going to fall off a cliff. And you can't deny that they are getting themselves closer to the cliff every day as they allow the radical wing of their party to continue with these vicious attacks on not only the president, but on our country and our way of life. As I said yesterday, I'm no longer going to dignify these radicals by mentioning their names, as I believe that this is the only strength they currently have, and that it is the media blitz which continues day after day, because it is the only road left for them to travel on. When you have an economy that is humming like a well-oiled machine, housing prices climbing to new highs every day, more people of all races and walks of life working, and all the opposition can come up with are these radical comments and accusations, Trump will win another 4 years in 2020. As far as VSU goes, we are, and we at the Jim State Patriot have been complaining about this institution for years, but no one has wanted to listen. We have been trying to get their records on how much their staff are making salaries to no avail, as they hide it so well in so many nefarious ways. Even if we get some of the records, it's impossible to decipher them. I've been through them. What our college students pay for tuition is onerous for what they get back. It is a crime what we pay the president of BSU, and a larger crime for what we are paying some of the staff at BSU. These overpaid academics are the root of the problem at our colleges and universities when it comes to killing free speech and encouraging dissension against conservative values. I have been saying for a long time that the progressive movement took over our education system 50 years ago, and they have turned it into a bastion of progressivism that has subverted the conservative values we as parents have tried to instill in our children. I told you 2 weeks ago about how they are offering opportunities for scholarships to illegals instead of to our children, whose parents pay the taxes that support these schools. We no longer have liberal progressive creep. We have a full-fledged war on many of the conservative values that we have long cherished. Until we get the government out of our educational system, none of this will change until we stop thinking that schools are the new daycare centers where we can trust our children's education to the teachers until we actually take an interest in what is going on in our schools and make the necessary changes. We're going to continue to turn out graduates who will be in debt for the rest of their lives and will wind up with jobs to nowhere, unable to afford homes, living in their parents' basements. They are winning the battle in the education and institutions, and no one seems to care. That's about all I have to say, my friend.
God bless Tea Party Bob. Terry from State College, Pennsylvania, with Kevin Miller in the morning.
Kevin Miller in the morning. Good morning. You know, I was just thinking, you really could curtail the human manhole from opening up when Liberal Steve calls in. I mean, my goodness, Kevin. This guy is nothing but critical. He's nothing but decisiveness. I mean, I still can't even wrap my head around how this guy computes, how he reasons, I just can't go there. But we'll definitely call him the manhole. I can't.
Well, that's not very nice to personally attack somebody.
Oh, I'm not. That's just, he's a manhole. He opens up, and what's down in there? Well, we all know he lets it spew itself out. But anyways, this Cortez, Omar, this squad, there's something happening here that I think we've overlooked. They're very dangerous in light of the fact that they are not attorneys. You've got Pelosi, you've got most of the people there are attorneys. And as they perpetrate their will against American people, they're trying to do it, per se, legally. They're careful not to cross over any lines that can subject them to big major lawsuits. But these other four, they don't know how to do that. They don't know how to walk that line. So, you know, we've got four very dangerous people here that can go well over that line and jeopardize America, not just themselves, but they're too stupid to understand that. But, you know, it was like the district, whoever he was up in Brooklyn, had him on YouTube. And he was questioning the House, he was questioning the energy, or the military. And he was talking about Guam. He said, well, after 3 minutes of asking the most inane, stupid question, he says, well, I guess my concern here is if we move our whole base to one end of Guam, won't it upset and turn over? Sheer stupidity. That's what we have in the squad. They're running strictly off emotion. They have no love for this country. In fact, if anything, they have a hatred for this country. They have a hatred for freedom. Kevin, we're in trouble. But what kind of people put them in office? Ooh, you've got such a voting base there that you've got that many people that can't understand. We're in trouble, my friends. We're in trouble. And it's going to continue to spread because we've got this third generation, godless, uneducated, totally programmed group called Antifa, and those just like them, they're going to be our leaders tomorrow. Boy, you and I are going to be dinosaurs so quick.
Well, we've got to keep fighting. Terry, thank you for the call. Thank you for listening, sir.
You have a good day, young man. Thanks.
Thank you. Mike in Eagle, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Well, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Hey, so this isn't a rant, but I want to make a comment about that gentleman, the liberal Steve.
Sure.
He comes on your show and he talks down to a conservative Christian with no facts to back him up. And to me, that is the most ignorant thing a person can do, because he's putting himself in the light of a public eye, and everybody that has critical thinking sees right through his facade. He's definitely drank the Kool-Aid. And as for the shape of America, there is a way to fix it. And it's in the scripture, and it says, raise a child in the way he should go. If we teach our kids critical thinking and biblical principles and help them apply that through school, they'll turn out all right. But that is the major problem in the United States today, is the Christian Judeo values that this country was built on are being flushed. Down the manhole, huh?
Ha!
Sir, I appreciate your time, and God bless you.
God bless you, Bobby. Take care. Good seeing you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Actually, Mike. Got Bob on my mind who's emailing me. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And let's roll in the KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller, traffic and weather together. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Kevin. KIDO Talk Radio traffic, 84 east and westbound, looking good. No problems there. State Street at Collister, you have construction at Cole and Franklin. They've opened northbound Cole Road up. Again, there are some detours in place there, but things looking better. Join the Idaho Lottery's 30th anniversary celebration party at Payette Brewing on River Street in Boise, coming up Friday from 4 till 8. There's live music, food trucks, free lottery tickets, plus Guinness World Record attempts. That's your Impact Directory traffic update. I'm Dave Burnett on KIDO Talk Radio.
KIDO Talk Radio. Larry, what is it?
Good morning, Kevin. Got some hot temperatures on their way, but not until next week. We're still going to be pretty mild with daytime highs just into the 80s. Sunday is the changer. That's where we're going to start to see some of that high pressure really kick in and bring in some of those hot temperatures. I'm just Channel 7's Eric Gebert.
And I'm Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Don't forget, Glenn Beck is coming up next. Phone number's here. Well, we appreciate you. And don't forget, Girls with Guns. Girls with Guns just around the corner. Get your girl in some great prizes thanks to our friends at Independence Indoor Shooting. We certainly want you and your favorite girl, or maybe your not-so-favorite girl, to win great prizes thanks to our friends at Independence Indoor Shooting in beautiful Meridian, Idaho.